This is a Moron Rants podcast with Mark Lamont and Andrew Deas, episode number 2, released Friday the 7th of May 2021.
So we're back for episode 2. We've successfully published episode 1 and almost got it onto everything. We got it onto Google Podcasts and Spotify. Apple Podcasts we're still working on because they didn't like the album art or they can't see the album art for some reason. But we're going to plod on ahead anyway. As always, I'm joined
you say
by...
me, you.
Yes, absolutely. And the dulcet tones you hear there are Mr. Deas joining us again.
Hello.
We planned to record a wee bit earlier, but we're still having some technical difficulties and working out with Teams and stuff. So we're
when you say we, you mean me.
yes, very much so. Although well, I don't know, because when we record, my camera seems to freeze up as well. It's a bit bizarre, but aye, we're working on to the future and better solutions. So watch this space. We will get some better recording software. Maybe in episode 4 or 5, who knows? But aye, we're going to give this a bash. Where will we start? Will I just plod on with a story, do you think?
Aye, why no?
Fair enough. So a wee bit follow up for maybe no last episodes, because we're recording these for a wee bit behind the scenes. We're recording these not always in order. Because of our technical issues with recording them, we try to record maybe 2 or 3 at a time. So follow up from episode 1. We talked about covidiots and all that nonsense happening, and when we released that one, the regulations had just changed. So following that change, we had a bank holiday weekend, and successfully there were no deaths over that weekend. So it's a wee bit positive news.
I was going to say, in fairness, one of the things about registering the deaths is that the registrars are usually shut at the weekend and on the bank holiday Monday, so there was never going to be any registered deaths anyway.
Could you not just let me have that as a good news story? No.
We'll see what happens in the next day or two. Hopefully.
Let's hope so.
I just thought I would point that out there before.
No, I was very much aware of that when I got the story for the Daily Record. I just wanted some hope. I just wanted some positiveness. But no, you're right. Usually they didn't really publish much statistics over the weekend, especially on a bank holiday when everybody is at the beach or wherever they are bothered to be. On the other follow-up to that point is we're still seeing idiots. So and obviously across in America they're starting to do flights again, mandatory to wear masks and stuff, as you would expect. Pretty standard, pretty decent practice. So 55-ish people, I think, were on this plane for Arizona to Christ knows wherever it was going, no important. But one guy has got his face visor or face shield, but no a face mask. And you would think, well, is that enough? But apparently no. And the airline made that fairly obvious, like when you book these tickets and everything, their policy is you can wear that, but you have to wear a mask as well. It's mandatory policy throughout the flight, you just wear your mask. That's how it is. So the 54 other people on the plane were quite happy to follow that. The one guy, wasn't he? So 2 of the passengers, I think, behind him started kicking the shit out of him.
Oh. That wasn't where I was like. So I thought you were going to say I just didn't get on the plane.
No, he got on the plane, and then like one of the air hostess wifeys went, "Excuse me, can you put a mask on?" Probably knowing that accent, and probably know the words, but that was the gist of it. Mate, you need to put a mask on, like as the rules state, and because you're in a confined, airlocked space for the next, I don't know, however many hours it was in the flight. So they, as I say, the other passengers behind them took it in their own hands, so to speak, and started kicking the fuck at him.
Gave him a doing.
The best bit of the story for me is, so there was a off-duty police officer also on the flight. So he escorted the non-mask wearing nobber off the plane, and the guys that were kicking the shit out of him, they got left on the plane. They were fine to carry on abroad, or no abroad, but wherever the destination was. There was no, and I mean, I kind of expected that probably some probably in society should have happened to them, but I'm kind of glad it didn't, because I think the boy needed a bit of a kick, and he was just a bit of a knob.
Honestly, I wasn't expecting that. I was assuming he didn't get on the plane, but I wasn't expecting that. He was on, and then he got battered on the plane.
I mean, I can already hear like folk listening to this going, "Oh, but he maybe had an exception. Maybe he couldn't wear a mask, whatever." Well, that's fine, but if you can't physically wear a mask, then didn't book a flight that is mandatory rules that you wear a face mask. Is all I'm saying. And then if you're asked politely to put it on, then didn't refuse, or if you can't, then you need to get off the flight. But he wasn't into that, so he got a kicking, and I'm pretty pleased with that. To be honest, I can get on board with that. Pardon the pun.
Oh, that was quite good for you. That'll give you that.
Unplanned, and if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. So he was ejected for his flight then.
I do. It probably tells us in the story somewhere where the plane was going, but I didn't really read that far ahead because I was more excited about the bit where he was getting kicking. There is a video that you can watch it as well, but
Of course there would be.
because somebody obviously seen it and was like, "Oh, should I help or should I get involved?" No. I'm
Film
just going
it
to video
instead.
it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the 21st century thing. You
Aye.
imagine somebody drowning in a river. Will I help them? Yeah, just film it.
They're the kind of idiots as well. That's a rant for another day, to be fair. But I'll let you watch the video later just to ensure that it doesn't crash your laptop and burn us into oblivion. Oh dear. But no, I wanted to start off with a kind of a positive story, although it was no really positive. It was a bit stupid because
It's no positive for him if he got a doing on the.
oh no, I was meaning the no deaths bit, and then I didn't want to sound too cheerful and happy because that's just no my personality. So I thought I'd bring us right crashing back down. So
Yet again, there's no one thing you want to hear when you're talking about planes. Crash right back down. Aye.
Well, for him, he never got to crash back. They never got to take off. Just as well. Could you imagine if that plane had taken off, and then they'd realised?
Yeah. I think a bit of maybe like a Final Destination thing happening there.
Open the door off at 30,000 feet, and he's punted out the door. That would have been fun.
I wonder what they would have done actually if they can I suppose that's all part of their checks now when they're doing boarding folk onto planes.
I suppose it'd be the same as anything else. If the something happened and they're in there, they just have to make an emergency landing at the nearest airport.
I'm actually surprised they've not got their own face masks. You have to wear a face mask on this flight. You've not got one, but we can provide you one for £20.
They probably did. To be fair, they probably did. I didn't think the issue was that he didn't have one or he could. I think it was more he was choosing not to, and he was claiming that because he's got a visor, it's all right. But obviously, that's no in line with the policy. And to be fair, I can understand maybe when you're at the shops and stuff, but when you're in a confined airlocked space, probably you need to wear a mask.
I wonder how big the plane was. You said there was about 55 folk on it, so that was about a third the capacity, I remember.
I don't know. Probably. I can imagine that it wouldn't be packed, sitting side by side sort of thing. Although they were close enough that they could get to him and give him a kick in. So you question how obviously concerned they were for their own health, that they didn't want to breathe the same air as him, but they were quite happy. Quite happy
to go into his personal space and battle.
Potentially. I mean, I don't know how hard they hit him, but potentially could beating the hell out of him. You could get blood or whatever else on you. So I'm no.
The visor gave him some protection for the punches.
Well, it's plastic flimsy thing. I don't think it would have given him much, to be fair.
Either that or he's got a bit of plastic visor stuck in his face,
More likely to stick up his arse.
No, we'll go down that route.
Well, we'll save that for an episode where Daniel joins us. That seems like his kind of thing.
Yeah. Glad it was you that said that, not me.
Absolutely. Right, well, I think you've heard enough from me. Do you have the laptop computing power to tell us what our next story is?
I do, I think. This, that turned out to be, well, obviously no humorous for the guy that got battered, but turned into quite a funny story. This, however, isn't. I'm sure by the time that this is out and folk hearing it, a lot of folk will have seen either the pictures or have heard about the vandalism that happened through a cemetery in Dunfermline recently.
Oh, I've seen this story. I was quite enraged by this as well. And it takes a lot to, well, no, it doesn't take much to enrage me, to be fair, but.
No, it takes a lot more to enrage me, and I was pretty fucking pissed off. I just, well, obviously, assuming people will probably ken what I'm on about, but there's vandalism at Dunfermline Cemetery where basically graffiti was spray painted onto headstones. Some of it was actually to do regarding COVID. I think they had like COVID scam spray painted on the some of the headstones, COVID hoax, that sort of stuff. And they probably, obviously, it's not a nice thing to have to be done anywhere, but one of the key things of this as well is that they had there's a big memorial there for baby infant deaths, and they even spray painted that, which was just, I think some of the words I heard said was it heartless and despicable. It's the most heartless and despicable thing we've seen in Fife for a while, and I think that pretty much sums it up. That's, it's a podcast about morons, but that's taking it to a whole new level. You have to be a special kind of fucking idiot to think that that's acceptable in any shape or form to even go in and do something like that.
I can't disagree with you. And to be honest, I mean, we're no far into the podcast, maybe 5-10 minutes or so, and I already have to call for death penalties. I mean, that's the only solution here, in my opinion. That's the way to tackle this.
One of the things I was critical of you in the first episode was you were quite wanting to cut off folks' balls quite easily, but I think that merits it.
I think it's one of the only times we've agreed on such a severe punishment.
I didn't get why or what's went through somebody's head to think that this is going to be an acceptable thing today. Well, I think it's what you go get a laugh off of some folk, or do they just really just utter scumbags that just.
Well, it has to be purely malicious. I mean, it's not as if it's some kind of comedy thing. I mean, who's going to find that funny? Who's even got the idea? Can you get some folk do stupid stuff when they're with their pals, and their pals do them to do something stupid? But it's, as you say, it's got to be a special fucking idiot that has the idea or the thought that is something that needs to, should remotely be a thing that needs to be done.
Obviously, the one positive that comes out of these things is obviously it got a lot of the community together, and thankfully, obviously, the vandalism was removed for the headstones. But so the police are appealing for information. So if anybody has any information,
it's one of these ones where I'm no hopeful that anything's going to come out of that. But it's one thing where we've got plenty of CCTV in plenty of places, and it's a place you would think we wouldn't need it. But Christ, if only we could have had some CCTV of that and got the wee bastards and just burned them alive, would have been my take on it. Just burn them alive, and then didn't bother giving them a gravestone because, well, they would kind of wreck somebody else's, so they're not entitled to it. Burn to death. Nobody cares. That's the way it should go.
I think there's as I say, there's no really much to say on the story. I think we've pretty much summed that up.
I mean, I'm sure that there's many stories that we talk about morons, and there'll be folk that fall on either side of it that agree or disagree, but I can't see much people really disagreeing with this, to be honest.
No.
It's... there doesn't need to be any more words on it. It's just, I hope they catch them, and I hope they cut their balls off and burn them alive.
They can get in and collect a special moron award if they go into Dunfermline police station. I'm sure the police will be happily give them their reward.
Yeah, or even just knock on any of the doors of the people's families' graves that you've kind of upset or try to destroy. Knock on one of their doors and just inform them who you are. Pretty sure they'd take a good message for you, and I don't think they would disagree with cutting your balls off or burning them alive.
Aye.
Well, I suppose I could link that. I know that I should link that in because it's not a really nice thing to say, but so they're talking about graves, folk that were dead, obviously. And we go a wee bit international for this story. No quite away to America, but...
I was going to say, you've just been to America for your first
Well,
story.
well, I just consider the Americans to be, they're just like English wankers with a different accent. But if we talk a wee bit about the French now, and I'm not a big fan of the French, can't understand the word, too busy with baguettes and cheese, no interest in it. However, I think we've got a contender for Moron of the Week here. So, a woman gets herself into debt for whatever reason, but then you can, French woman obviously, gets herself into debt and folk take her to court to get the money back. Standard works many same ways in this country, I would imagine. And it went up and down the courts. It went to the highest court in France, and they were like, "Well, this is it's below our pay grade." So fired it back down to the lower courts, and it got appealed. And at one point in the 5 or 6 years that this has been going on, the woman got a ruling that she was not living. They ruled her dead, so she didn't have a death certificate, and she was like clearly alive and owed this money. But the court ruled that she was dead, so she is legally dead, and she can't get a job. She can't get, I don't know what the French equivalent of like national insurance and like government benefits, any of that stuff. So she's not entitled to anything. She doesn't have like a driving license. She's nothing like that. She can't have because it's all government issued, and technically she's dead.
How?
I don't know, but that was the ruling that the court made, and they're reluctant to change the ruling because they didn't want to look like idiots, although they are, because she's clearly standing in front of them alive. I'm no deed hen. So I think that's a pretty good contender for Moron of the Week, the French legal system, that this woman is clearly alive, but she can't get a job, she can't do anything official because she's no technically alive or legally alive.
Because normally the route is kind of like a sequestration route, and that like has a cut-off date where obviously you'd accumulate all the stuff that you owned, and then you would try to figure out if you can pay some of it back and blah blah blah. But that would be you wouldn't be ruled dead. You'd still think
no, you'd most likely in this country be declared bankrupt, and then you'd be wiped out, but you would still technically be alive. But no, they ruled her as it wasn't dead. It was not living, was what they ruled her. So, French legal system. I don't know anything much about the French, but she can't sell baguettes. She can't do anything.
I suppose on the other side of that, she won't need to pay any tax or anything like that.
Well, there's a wee bit of thing inside it because her husband.
Well, I've just ruled her deed, but you've still got to pay us.
No, I don't know how that works, but it does say in the story that her husband and her son can't get into joint accounts because she's named on it and she's dead. The process would have to go that like she would have to have a will and it would have to go through all that sort of stuff, which she didn't have obviously because she was only, I don't know, 30 or 40 years old. So it's stuck in the legal system what happens with her possessions after she's dead, even though she's still alive. They can't access any of the accounts that is joint with her.
That's just bizarre. That's
I told you, I think I've got a contender for Moron of the Week here. I think that's pretty strong.
I honestly didn't get how. Just how?
I don't know.
I couldn't tell you the ins and outs of the French legal system, but I do not know how that's possible to.
No.
I've seen mistakes happen before where they've maybe killed off the wrong person and named the rank and done that mistake, and if somebody with the same name as you, they've killed after Ang Wan, essentially, on the system.
Well, see, when I
But-
first seen the title, the headline for the story, so I thought what maybe happened is she'd maybe like left the husband or whatever and disappeared, and then after a certain amount of time being missing, they declared her the death certificate for her, and then she come back and was like, "Well, I'm no dead." But no, this is all her a car debt. She had a car and it built up debt on it, and then couldn't pay it or didn't pay it.
Didn't want it.
So it went through the legal system for years, and they declared her dead. It just.
Or maybe she just keeps appealing it and thought, oh, Kim, well, let's just get rid of her.
It went up and down the appellate court. It went up to, it tells you in the story, I can't pronounce French words, but to the highest court in France, and they rejected to even hear it. They were just like, no, needs to be dealt by a lower court. But surely at some point in this, they could go, well, because she's got lawyers involved and everything, obviously it's got to go through the courts. Surely one of the defences could be just like bring her into the room and be like, look, she's no deed. Then surely they should overturn the ruling, give the money to whoever needs to give the money, but the ruling that she's not alive, surely we can reverse that, but apparently no, or they're reluctant to do so. Can you top that story for Moron of the Week?
Well, I'll try. But we'll stick with. I'll link in with France here.
Almost like we planned this.
We didn't. That's the thing.
I know.
But this was a story I just actually seen earlier on. And I say it's France. It involves France. It's a Belgian farmer who, as far as I can gather it, has where his farm is right on the French-Belgian border, and there's some sort of stone wall, for obviously for his land. So he's got a stone wall, but it was interfering with the work that he was needing to do with his tractor, essentially. So he eventually got this wall moved, and somebody, all it really said was a local history enthusiast. So they can,
A wanker.
they can what that's meant to mean. But they were around and have noticed that you've actually invaded France here. He's where he's moved the walls kind of obviously increased the length of his land, but it's not just anybody's land; it's a land in another country. So he's it's something like 2.29 meters or 7.5 feet essentially of French territory he has now took.
Does that mean he has to pay taxes to France and Belgium?
Oh God knows, maybe the French legal system held him as deed.
Well,
But luckily enough, because sometimes things like this can be blown out of proportion. It's been I've seen the humour in it, will we say.
But I'd like to think the one they send him in the tanks for his 2.9 metre fence across the thing, surely.
Aye, because had the mayor, it must be the Belgian village that is in. I'm not even going to try it. It's Erquelines, I think of that's how I pronounce it. But he was on.
Here.
I thought you were quite into your French too. But this is he's made Belgium bigger and France smaller. It's not a good idea.
To be fair though, 2.9 metres, I can't see Google Maps starting to start auto-correcting their maps or anything based on 2.9 metres. I mean, let's be honest.
Obviously, there's thing here is it's funnier because it's it's essentially one part's Belgium and one part's France. But there is a thing is that because he's moved that wall, he's kind of can just take even the country hang out here. He's kind of invaded into the other, whoever owns the other bit of land in France.
Well,
in a wee bit of stretch there, albeit it was offer. It wasn't as though he was intentionally wanting to steal more land. Essentially,
do you think? Do you think it was maybe a conspiracy and he's just going to move it a couple of meters every year until he gets to like Bristol or something?
But because obviously this is where you get into the historical side of things, that the border between France and obviously Belgium, sort of length that it stretches, that was formerly established under a treaty that was signed back in 1820 when Napoleon got defeated at Waterloo. And the stone actually dates back all the way back to 1819. So he's this obviously the historical thing is he's moved a 200-year-old war. But I did laugh the Belgian mayor, the place where the land was. He said basically he was in it. Said, I was happy with it. It's made my town bigger.
I think it might have been a conspiracy all along.
The mayor of the French town didn't agree, but it's just the irony fact that obviously he's just gone for his point of view, thinking I've just got to move this will help me do my farming, and I'll move this into this wall into French territory, which means he's still a part of France.
I just want to see them come and grab the land tax for it. I'm just waiting on them getting the thing in the post. Like what you'd get for, I don't know, Fife Council or whatever French council it is, just to send them a letter. Like that 2.9, you hate to pay the French council tax for that, mate.
Well, it does say that the local Belgian authorities plan to contact the farmer to ask him to return the stone to its original location. If that does not happen, the case could end up at the Belgian Foreign Ministry, which have to summon a Franco-Belgian Border Commission, dormant since 1930.
That's good. It could be an international incident at this point.
Well, aye, I would come to that.
Oh God.
And obviously, one of the things that comes to this as well is that it has been noted that if the farmer doesn't comply, he could face criminal charges, obviously. I just say, if he shows goodwill, he won't have a problem and this will be settled amicably.
Oh well, we'll need an update in future podcasts to see if the wall has been shifted back.
We'll maybe be announcing breaking news one day that Belgium and France are now at war.
Tanks have come in and drove Aries wall.
How did the war start? Well, some farmer moved a stone wall so he could have easier access to his farmland through his tractor.
What if he moves the wall? Does he still have to go at the other side and cut the grass? Or what's the story with
No,
that?
it's not his land. So that shouldn't be his problem in the first place.
Oh, very true, Bill. Well, that's a point actually. So he's moved the wall. Does that mean the person that owns that land has to come and cut that wee strip of 2.9 metre grass?
I suppose technically no, now that it's on, that he's technically just like increased the border. It's his problem until he moved the wall back.
Seems reasonable. Do you think he needs a passport when he goes out the other side of the wall?
They're fine in the EU, he'll be alright.
Until we get more than Brexit and France leaves and all.
I hope it'd be. That would be a Frexit. I think you'll be the ones to leave. Maybe if obviously Belgium's Brussels where the EU lies, but a Brexit.
That'll just be fucked. I think is the way you call it. Ah dear. Well, I think we can move on for that nonsense. I mean,
You got any farmland stories to link that into?
I've got no farmland stories. I've got a really stupid story, but the story is not really to talk about the actual story. The story is to talk about how irrelevant and stupid these things that, like, you see on Facebook pop up for the Daily Record or the Mirror. These stories that aren't really stories, it's people wanting attention. Gets right on my tits.
Right.
Came like, mother of 3 dyes hair purple because benefits cut by 14 pence or something stupid like that. Something that doesn't have to be a story, something that nobody gives a fuck about, that has no interest to anybody, but they pung it out our Facebook and advertise it on our Facebook to get the fucking mongoloid folk like, nothing else to do but watch Pornhub all day and click on these stupid stories.
Like the type of stories you get when it's like somebody gets a sex toy delivered and it's no came in a discreet packaging, and said, they were totally embarrassed at the post office, the postie who kins what they've ordered, yet they display it in an article to the rest of the world.
We're face
type of story.
That's exactly it. It's just like you're just an attention-seeking fanny. Fuck off. that is the type of people. But this one particular one came up, right? So, couples' disbelief after they discover a secret bathroom in a house that they've bought. So they bought.
I think I heard about this. I'll continue.
It'll have been a Facebook fucking pop-up because that's what it was for me. And that's what prompted me to think about I'm sick of seeing all this stupid stuff come up, right? But they bought a house, as folk do. And they wanted to renovate it, obviously, so they went through all their whatever, ripping down wallpaper. And one of the interior walls that is no load bearing, obviously, they've wanted to move or take it out to make the room bigger or whatever. So they've ripped this wall down, and behind it was a bathroom. There was no door or any way to get into it. So they've called it a secret bathroom. Not really sure how much a secret bathroom it was, because if it was hidden behind whatever, then it was no secret anything. It was just fucking hidden space. It was nothing. However, my issue with it is, who gives a fuck? Secondly, no, the first bit was just, to be honest, who gives a fuck? Like, they've bought a new house, they're going to renovate it, and
They've got an extra bathroom.
Exactly.
A
Well,
bonus.
exactly. Or they can thing it out and whatever. But why is this news? Why does this find its way to me to tell me it's news? This is just one example, like you're saying, with the stupid wife buying dildos off Amazon, second hand probably,
Oh,
and then
Purell then.
complaining about the packaging. It's just I don't get why it's a story. So the moron in this bit are the people that are advertising these stories, and for folk that read the Daily Record or the Mirror or any of these stupid things that pop up on Facebook to tell you father of 3 is now father of 4 because he pumped some other woman. It's no news. It's no interesting. Nobody cares. I bet even the people that found that room went, well, there's an extra bit of space in the house. That's
I,
good.
I do wonder, how does this, at what point does this become a news article? Because surely, all right, you might tell you'll never guess, guess what I found the day mark in my new house.
Aye.
You would maybe tell your pals or your family, but how the fuck does the Daily Record get
Well, I
in?
don't know. That's what I mean. That somebody must have had the bright idea to go, oh, no, this is breaking. Phone the press. It's just, it has to be just money grab or attention grab. I don't know. Do they get paid for these stupid stories? They must do. There has to be some motive.
I hope they didn't get paid much.
Oh, it's just, I just didn't get it. That's like me saying, oh, I've just bought a new house, and the person that moved out's left a t-shirt in the wardrobe.
Oh, what kind?
I reckon you'll read all about it in next week's fucking Daily Record.
Well, I'm gonna buy that. That sounds interesting.
Exactly. It's something that you might find a wee bit intriguing at yourself, or go, oh, that's quite random, quite stupid. But you would generally just leave it at that. At no point would I think I better go to the fucking press and share this as a story. Now, I'm glad they did because it's given me something to moan about. However, well, realistically, I want to care who the idiots are reading all this stuff. It has to be the Jeremy Kyle fucking brigade. It's got to be.
Well, the thing I was thinking is that it'll be great, like when you sell your house and you'll see the story for your one. I bought this new house and the guy who previously lived in it left a shit in the toilet. 'Cause that'll be definitely be the news story for your one.
Well, that's about to have happened in loads of houses. But I definitely will be for mine.
That's maybe more been a tenancy issue, I think. Landlord's evicted a tenant. I do think that really happens when you're buying a new house.
To be fair, I don't think it's usually left in the toilet. If it's a landlord evicting a tenant, it's usually left on the carpet.
Maybe
But I've never seen a landlord go to the press. They usually go to the courts to get their money back for it. But I've never seen anybody think it's newsworthy that people have got to know.
yeah. Well, I suppose say everybody's got a right to know everything about everything these days. No,
God,
not really.
just social media for you. I'm no interested. This will be a recurring thing. I'm sure we'll get more stupid stories, examples for the Daily Record and the Mirror. They're just two of the shower wanker brigade. There'll be more, but they're just the two that pop up on my Facebook feed quite frequently with stupid stuff, and they try to get you to click on the links to read the stories. And I have obviously for the purpose of complaining about on this podcast. But it's just like, who reads this shit? Who is interested to see, oh, Kerry Katona has 3 new garden plants. Oh, well, I need to go and fucking investigate that. Who cares?
such a thing about doing up my garden. What kind of plants you got?
I don't fucking know anything. It's a real story. I just put it out of my arse. But that's what the Mirror and the Daily Record are doing. They're putting this shit out their arse.
That's pretty much all they've been for a wee while, I think.
Oh.
It's either stories like this or stuff that they've just made up one day.
Well, that's it. I wonder sometimes if these are real people or if they just employ somebody to
No,
put this stuff on social media and just make it up.
that is the other thing, because at the end of the day, you didn't ken these folk for Adam. That's for all we can, it's just there'll probably be a picture of the news article in some house somewhere. And just might be two actors that they've paid to. And here's 20 quid, take a photo for us.
You just wonder why. What is the point in any of this? I don't know, but it's given me something more about it, as I say. So there you go. Well, not that I'm pining for it, mind you, but so another thing when I click on it, I've got to fucking turn off my ad blocker to even see the story.
Aye, you do get a lot of. And it's nothing useful. It's never anything good that they're showing you in the ads.
No, there's usually stuff related to their stupid fake stories. Oh, they found a fucking hidden bathroom, but you too can buy a new
hidden
bathroom
bathroom.
suite. No fucking interested, mate. You can see the advertisers think, oh, there he's looking at a hidden bathroom. He must want a fucking bathroom. We'll advertise a bathroom. No, I'm no interested.
Have you tried knocking down a wall in your house to see if you have a hidden bathroom?
No, I'm not planning to either. That's the other thing though. Usually when you buy a house, or certainly when we sold it last flat, you have to get somebody that comes in and like does like floor plans and like surveyors and stuff. So how have they not seen that on the design plans, floor plans of the place they bought?
It's maybe never been there. That's maybe why it's a hidden secret bathroom, because maybe somebody at some point has put that there and never tell anybody it's there, and then
No,
decided
but
at
you
some
get,
point to cover it
but
up.
like they use fancy measurement things, so that has got to take up a space in the house that's unaccounted for. If they measure the wall and it doesn't line up with the other side. What I mean is when they're drawing a floor plan, there has to be whatever space that was hidden unaccounted for.
You come out, you wait to contact the Daily Record to investigate this further.
Exactly. That's why I think it's just it smells of bullshit because I'm thinking an actual like surveyor or whatever would have sussed that out, or one worth his fucking salt anyway. I'm just.
It's maybe a quick Friday night job, that one. It's like, your house is it's looking fine.
I think it's a conspiracy with the Daily Record just making this bollocks up. If I'm honest with you, I think
Yeah,
it's real.
could be. But when we're on the topic houses and stuff like that, and talking about surveyors, have you ever, when you've been buying or renting a place, thought, I'll no bother doing a viewing? Or have you
No.
always thought, I'll go and view this property and the area as it was?
Usually. I mean, I wouldn't go, maybe no look at too much of the area, to my detriment in the past, probably. But I would never go and either even rent a place or buy a place without going and seeing it.
Well, this brings me on to my story, and I'm going back here to America.
Oh, they're foo wankers.
And it was a 19-year-old woman, obviously a teenager, and she was, let's see if I get this right now. She was moving from Oklahoma to Arkansas. Yeah, I think that's right.
Both
Aye.
states full of fucking trees and turtles, basically.
So she was getting a flat in Arkansas, 19-year-old, and seen this great lad. She obviously, assuming there was pictures of it and stuff that she'd done like an online probably viewing, but obviously never actually seen the place in person or the area. So she went in and she rented this flat, and I think the rent turned out to be reasonably quite cheap as well, which obviously was a bonus.
And a warning sign.
Well, yeah, there is that as well. So anyway, she was kind of had moved in, and she started noticing stuff about her neighbours, i.e., they were all of a certain age, i.e.,
I like where this is going.
over 65. Obviously, because it's not uncommon. You might have older neighbours, but like everybody was like older, and she was like, something quite in the right here. So she went wandering through the place, and eventually came across a sign that had at the start when they're obviously moving into the street or the residential area, saying that it's senior citizen apartments. She's basically moved into a retirement village in Arkansas. So aye, moral of that story is maybe view the area. However, she does say it's got its upsides. When she comes home for work, it's always quite quiet. Certainly, I don't think there's going to be any wild parties. And everybody's quite friendly and quite asked how she's doing. So
I know, but surely when you go to move into a retirement home, they do some vetting on you. Maybe one of the first things is, what age are you? Surely.
well, one of the things about this is that it's not to be age discriminatory. So they didn't have like an age requirement as such. It's set there for being a retirement home. But obviously, I think what they're probably, when they thought of this idea, was that they'll no make the kind of like a cut-off point that you have to be over 65 to live in this place, i.e.
I can understand that you maybe be 60 or 58 or whatever and want to do an early retirement. But surely to fuck 19, somebody should have flagged that.
You would have thought so. Somebody would have maybe said to her at the time. But obviously, the other thing that's going through my head is that obviously COVID times, maybe nobody getting the folk wanting to actually rent the place. So this went, aye, we'll take your money, we'll take your rental agreement. Cheers.
I suppose.
Aye, and a rent for a 2-bedroom flat, she's only paying $350, which is about the equivalent of £251. She's not bad for a 2-bedroom flat.
And does she get free Withers originals when she goes in?
No idea. They kind of, she's maybe. I'm assuming she's not got the the red string things that you pull in the bathroom or that.
I shot myself and died.
She did say, says, I could never have imagined that I would have moved into a retirement village, but it's turned out to be a financial blessing because it's really quite cheap for the rent. And she plans on staying for quite a while. She actually likes her neighbours. But aye, it's just I was there viewing. I'll have a wee look around.
But even if you didn't do a viewing, surely on the website it says this is a fucking retirement home or something to that effect, surely.
I think it was a whole week before she noticed it. There is a big, massive sign when you come in, because that's the picture. She done a picture of herself a week into actually staying here, next to the big sign that says senior citizen apartments. Obviously, say the reason why it's the equal housing opportunity is on the thing as well. So that's why, obviously, it's never been flagged up. But I suppose she's only renting it, and eventually, if she does get bored, she can move out after her rental agreement's up. No renewed lease.
Oh dear. Aye, no, I think she qualifies definitely to be a fucking moron. That's good. That being said, that might be a way to go if you're strapped for cash.
Well, aye, well, £251 for a 2-bedroom apartment. You're not getting that around your area.
No, but then you have got to remember this is in the middle of fucking random fields in America. You could probably get a fucking 4 or 5 bedroom house for a fiver because it's in the middle of a field in the middle of nowhere. Nobody's there. There's no power or nothing. So it's all relative.
You try to say it's like a bit like the hills have eyes.
Aye, well, aye. The hills have zimmers, I don't know.
I hope she didn't get that thing. You come round for a party and she wanders in, there's all keys in a bowl. She might want to leave that one quite early.
God. Oh,
Do you say that's the highest contraction in STDs, retirement homes?
Oh, God, help us all.
Or help her.
Oh, shoot me now. Ah, dear. Do you want to pull out another story before we wrap up with my last one?
Aye. I'll go into my final story that I found. This goes quite somewhere. I know it's the things that you probably really shouldn't do and should ken not to do. Not quite as bad as the other story, mind you. I suppose depends on your viewpoint, I suppose. But this was a group of teenagers. I believe it's down in Leicestershire somewhere. And what they had basically done was they had captured a hedgehog. And I think they'd put a hedgehog in a bag which contained cannabis smoke. So they were basically forcing the hedgehog to inhale cannabis, essentially. and then they chucked it in the river after that. I honestly take it why. Surely there's loads of things to be doing these days that you can't be that bored that you think that's what I'm going to do.
I mean, I'm going to call for the death penalty again. I mean, I'm not that particularly fond of hedgehogs. I mean, they're quite spiky, and if you run one over it, burst your tyres. But to chuck it in the river, I'm not quite convinced that it's required. That's a wee bit extreme. I mean,
Well, thankfully, a passer-by came by and rescued the female hedgehog. So it's new in a
rehab
RSP.
centre.
Well, it might be new. An RSPCA home.
And did they smack the guy that done it to fuck? That's what he needed.
I think basically I got into I was Leicestershire Wildlife Hospital for treatment. I'm not sure what kind of treatment you give for forcing a hedgehog to inhale cannabis smoke.
Munchies.
Well, it's I'm sure I was trying to think there's bound to be a joke in there about spikes and getting high or something, but I can't think of one. But the shame for the hedgehog is it's just actually obviously because they hibernate for the winter, so it had just actually woken up for hibernation, and this happened to it. So it's not having a good start to it's summer, or they can maybe see it smoking cannabis for the on.
Oh god.
But it's quite. I do get why. I just didn't get it. I do get why you would do this. Honestly, didn't.
No.
What can, especially if you're doing by a river, just like skips. Can just like any other normal teenager just skip stones into a water or something. They can.
See, I think it's outrageous for a hedgehog. Now, on the other hand, if you're telling me you're lodging a cat in the river, I could get on board with that. They're evil wee bastards. But no hedgehog.
I quite like hedgehogs.
I'm indifferent. Like they're funny on the King of the Road adverts. They're mostly funny when it actually bursts your tyre. But no, I can't see it being like deciding to chuck one in the river. No.
In fairness, I would say that's probably your fault for running out a hedgehog.
I might think it's King of the fucking Road, but if it wasn't on a zebra crossing,
You just said you've seen the advert. You can, they're King of the Road.
Aye, when they're on a zebra crossing, pal. See, when they're not on a zebra crossing, they're doing 70 mile an hour. It's fair game. And that's not just hedgehogs. It'll run you or know if you're on the road and you're on a zebra crossing. Even if you're millimetres before or after the zebra crossing, that's another type of moron that thinks that's acceptable. To be near a zebra crossing and cross it. If you're not on the zebra crossing, you're fair fucking game and I will run you out.
Did you know here? I'm next in line after the hedgehogs. I'm Prince of the Road.
Prince of Pish. Don't talk a lot of shite.
It did say in the article that despite everything that's happened, the hedgehog is still fighting on. She's currently being cared for in one of her incubators. They've also discovered that she's blind in one eye. They didn't think that's in relation to the incident, so they think that's just been a thing. And she was also covered in ticks as well, which they've now removed.
What they say? She obviously didn't see it coming.
I'm not sure. I suppose you're not getting away that fast if you're a hedgehog and a group of teenagers decide to go chuck you in the bag.
Ah dear. Well, talking about ball bags. We'll wrap up with our last story of the week.
Yeah, you pass on. What you got for us?
Well, I'll just broadly speak about the upcoming Scottish election. I say upcoming when you hear this podcast, listeners.
Aye, it'll be done.
Aye, we're obviously recording ahead of time, so you'll know the election result, and we'll either sound really intelligent here with our guesses, or we'll have completely got it wrong. But upcoming election Thursday the 6th of May, I want to say. Is that right?
Yes.
Voting is normal. I seen the thing the day for Fife Council up on Twitter and Facebook that if you're going to vote, you need to wear a mask, obviously. Preferably take your own pen or pencil. And obviously don't go if you've got any symptoms. It's just common sense stuff. The bit I didn't really think it was take your own pen or pencil, because I normally do anyway, but I suppose they generally always have pens and pencils there, but that'll not be the case given the sanitisation stuff. So if you're going out, please, well, you should go out to vote, regardless if you are an idiot or no. Everybody gets a vote. That's the whole point of the system. So go vote, or well, after you hear this, you will have hopefully voted. But my prediction would be the SNP will take a majority. I think Alex Salmond's ABLA party is no going to really take too much votes. Willie Rennie will keep his seat, obviously, in the East Fife, but I don't think they'll take any more. The Greens, if anything, will gain some, I would suspect. And Conservatives will keep Dumfries.
I do think the SNP will get a majority. I think it'll be a minority SNP government.
Do you think?
Nah.
What I did find quite funny. It was Daniel who was telling me this, but he got a leaflet through his door for Labour that were urging him to put your second vote for Labour. They're that defeatist that they're not even advertising that you should vote first for Labour, but vote for your second vote, put down Labour. It's a wee bit, I don't know, it feels just a bit defeatist, surely, if you're putting promos through folks' doors.
One of the things that seems to have come close with the system we've got now is there does seem to be a lot around because there's a lot of folk that have this thing now that I've got kind of like the two vote system. So they vote for like one their party candidate or whoever they want, and that's what you've seen, mate. As I think I said in the first episode when we talked about Alex Salmond's ALBA party, is that there's actually quite a lot of new parties that have just they've obviously got the main headlines, but there's actually quite a lot of options on your list votes this time around. And I think that's why a lot of them are kind of coming out and trying to get obviously, I think there's a general assumption that if you're a Labour supporter, you're going to vote for the Labour candidate, or same with SNP, Conservative, Lib Dem, etc. But I think there's a lot of them are now trying to pinpoint a second vote as well, because there's that many options now that people could easily go, well, I voted for the my candidate, whether it be, as I say, SNP, Labour or whatever. I'll vote for the Scottish Family Party as a list vote seat.
I totally get that, but for Labour, surely in their leaflets that they're posting, they shouldn't be saying. Well, not that they shouldn't be saying, but it shouldn't be the only thing they're saying is, we can you're not going to vote Labour with your first vote, to just go for the second one. Surely they should be trying to push for that first vote as well.
I've had the Labour ones as well telling you to vote for who the candidate is and get their vote in for the party vote for the seat. So there'll be that many different leaflets going about.
I suppose I find that quite funny. The only SNP ones I've seen is both votes SNP, obviously, which is a no-brainer for me with my pro-independence thing. Even though I'm not quite with their liberal, fucking not communist, but that socialist, is the right word. Views of everything, benefits and the like. But I'm pro-independence. Alex Salmond's a wanker, so my vote will remain with SNP, both lists. Or will have when you hear this. But that's my prediction, that I think the SNP will have come out with a majority. You're not convinced?
No, I do think they'll get a majority. I think they'll fall short, but obviously they'll get the missed seats, so it'll be their minority government with probably. What will be interesting actually is to see if, say, you had the example of they had the minority, but they could either go with the Greens or ALBA to form the government, who they would go for. I would still assume the Greens, I would think.
I don't think.
Whether they would give that olive branch to the ALBA party.
I don't think, as long as Alex Salmond there, I don't think Nicola Sturgeon would go even remotely near it. I think it would always go to the Greens. But you're saying you do think you'll get a majority. Where do you think you'll see sort of gains? What do you think?
They need gains of.
No, I kind of know what majority now, but where do you think no gains in? Where do you think the rest of the votes will go? Do you think anybody will gain for the last one or lose for the last one? Lib Dems have got to lose, surely. They've got to lose some. Like, nobody's even heard of them this year. or the last couple of years.
I bet you say that every year about the Lib Dems.
True, very true, and it's true every year. To be fair, every voting year. I think Willie Rennie will keep his seat, but I think he might be the only one in Scotland.
I think
Is it Orkneys as well? Usually vote Lib Dems.
aye, they'll have one up there. I think looking for sort of the Fife area, as you say, with Willie Rennie, I think for North East, Kirkcaldy and Glenrothes, I can't see anybody taking their Torrance or Gilruth. I think they're guaranteed to get their seats. The sort of west of Fife, the 2 seats through that way, might be more of a battle. Labour might be looking to try and get in there and pinch them off the SNP. Whether they'll have enough to do it, we'll find out in a few days' time. But I think I can't see the SNP gaining the seats that they had lost for 2011. I think there's uncertainty. I think they're in more danger of maybe losing one or two. I don't think they'll lose many either. I didn't think there's going to be too much of a change. Obviously, when I say that, that's obviously the actual seats themselves. What will happen with the list vote this time around, I'm actually not really quite sure, because as I say, there's that many parties at play now, it seems. And you never know if somebody gets in an area, if they get so many backing. I think the thing that George Galloway has that All for Unity, and he was on the news the other day saying that at the end of the day, if they get 20,000 votes in that, I think he was referring to his area, Dumfriesshire by South Scotland. If they get something like 20,000 votes on the list seats, that might be them get a seat. Yeah? So that's could be interesting. The same if that goes for Alba and.
I don't see Alba taking much weight. I think the Green. I genuinely believe the SNP will gain. I think the Greens will gain, and I think there'll be big losses, further losses for Labour, further losses for Lib Dems. The Conservative only have one or two seats anyway, so.
I mean, the Conservatives were the second largest party in the last vote.
We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen.
I could see the Conservatives letting one of the SNP seats in Perthshire by. I think they'll get one of them back.
Well, I suppose time will tell, but that's certainly our predictions. For some of you listening to that's already happened. So you're either going, well, one of you guys is right, or we've both totally got it fucking wrong.
Just sitting there listening, you are a pair of fucking idiots. To be fair, that was just, I didn't think you were doing that. It was off the top of my head. I've not even looked at to see whose seats are there. I remember your ones, but that's about it.
Oh no, I've just pulled it off the top of my head as well. I haven't even really researched it.
I'm going to go on record and honest. I think the SNP got a clean sweep the last time round in Glasgow. I do think that will happen this time. That's just
I think it will. I think the way Nicola Sturgeon's handled the pandemic and stuff, and relative to how Boris Johnson's handled it.
Aye, but that's nothing to do with the Scottish election.
Oh well,
still flung.
It shouldn't be, but there's a lot of people that vote politics based on the media and just what they've seen on the telly, and what their pals tell them. So I think that'll play a part. But we will see. But I think that's us wrapping up this episode. Will we take a vote for Moron of the Week? I mean, you clearly came where my vote is. It's the French government. French legal system.
I think the clear and obvious one was obviously Dunfermline, but I do the Dunfermline cemetery thing. But I do really want to give them an award.
I don't think that's Moron of the Week. I think that's merely just absolute arsehole in the millennium. To be honest, I think that's something completely separate. It was worth talking about just to convey your anger at it, but I think the moron really goes to something generally pretty stupid and funny.
Aye, and I think I'm going to have to, unbelievably for a second time, I really do get how they could declare her deed. I think it's got to be that French legal system story.
Yeah, I just I come across it online and it's brilliant, and it's fair reputable place too. It's not for the Daily Record, so I've got some genuine belief in its integrity, even though it seems ridiculous that it happened. So I think we're in consensus. We've agreed that moron of the week: French legal system for declaring a woman dead, even though she's
Quite
well and
clearly
truly
no.
alive, and hired her own legal team to defend it. That in itself is just insane.
That would be an interesting film. I think that should get made into a film.
Oh god, it'll be on Netflix, I'm sure, at some point. Just once she can actually appear or sell the rights to it when she's actually declared alive again.
And obviously the theme tune, you get a song for Dead or Alive.
Oh dear. And I think on that note, it's time to call it a night, I think. We appreciate everybody that listens or views. We do try and record the video, although the quality will get better in coming weeks. By the time this is released, we will be available on Apple Podcasts as well, but we are
You hope.
also I know we're in discussions with Apple to try and get the artwork synced with their website, and they'll add us to their podcast app. But we are currently on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and a couple of other places you can find us. YouTube, Facebook, we're all over the place. Or you can just go to our website, moronrants.com, and you'll find all the links and stuff there. Please like, subscribe, and give us your comments. Post some stories, anything you want us to talk about, any morons you want us to call out. We're happy to do that. But other than that, that's all from us for this episode, and we hope you listen to the next one. Thanks very much.
All right.